Hey, I'm Michelle.
And I'm Jenny.
And you're listening to the Super
Wonderful Podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Super Wonderful Podcast. And happy Pride.
Happy Pride, everyone. I actually got to go to LA and walk in the Pride Parade.
Stop it. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I got to do it because, Chris organizes like the Prism comics.
Mm-hmm.
They're like convertible with people in cosplay around it. But our friend Ashley, who does another Wonder Woman, she went with me. And we just went in like black outfits. So we look like their security team in the back. It's like and I told her, I said, it's so funny because we ended up on KTLA.
Like, oh my gosh. As security. Just like the hottest security team ever.
It's like all these like mutants going by the thing. And then me and Ashley were like, and we're just with them. We did not cosplay. But we were talking about like how we used to be able to go to those conventions in those booths and be there all day. And now it's like 5 minutes in those booths. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Oh,
I don't want to do it. Yeah. So we were like, we're not cosplaying. He's like, you could cosplay. No.
Because here's the thing, like cosplaying in flat shoes does not have the same impact as like the go-go boots. It just doesn't. It doesn't hit the same. Right.
No, and a parade, it's like a mile and a half.
No, thank you.
No, won't be doing that.
The other reason that we were able to do that a lot of the time was like fueled by alcohol. So if you're drunk enough and you don't feel your feet, fine.
Yes.
Shot. Walk down for a mile and a half in your go-go boots.
Yeah.
You're good. And then on the other side of it, you get like a grilled cheese sandwich. Great.
Yep. Great. Going. So whiskey was always the promise at San Diego. So we'd go to the Whiskey Girl.
Yes.
We'd go and we'd work the floor. And it was such a different time because like all of the press people just walked the floor back then. It's kind of like now they have like the press, which we went at the very beginning of like it being like, oh, this is where you go for the press photos. But like we used to just walk the floor and then it's like, oh, we were on Conan O'Brien.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to do some cool stuff. I remember, so you invited me to my first Comic-Con and I didn't even have a proper badge. Like my badge said like Wolverine Tom or somebody. It was like somebody, and it was like a Sunday because he's like, I'm not going to go on Sunday. You were like, okay, I'll give it to my friend. Could you imagine now?
Oh, no.
Like that would never fly.
No. You're like scanned and you have the ding and it's like really intense now. It was not like that back then.
No, it's very like guarded. And they even had like a lottery for if you could even get a ticket, right?
Yeah, and they do the lottery for the hotels too.
Yes.
And like you just stay where you stay. Like you can't book in advance. And like I'm like, why? That's horrible. Like I don't want to just like randomly not be staying near the con.
So you will remember this. We stayed in somebody's house one time. We had to like sleep on the floor. There were no beds and we had like a quilt. It was horrible. Like, where was that?
That was my friend Marsha.
Your sister was there.
My friend Marsha, yeah. My friend Marsha, we were at her house. You remember Christy Cook?
Of course.
Yeah, it's her sister.
Okay.
Yeah, that was her sister's place. So we stayed there and then it was like free. So it was like, whatever, I'll stay for free and do whatever. But yeah, my sister went that year. Yeah, it's so bizarre because all that kind of runs together for me. I forget because that's the year also that Lana York came.
God, I
and
love
saw
her.
us for a second. She's great. And, she's dealing with long haul COVID. Mm-hmm. It's just a nightmare. But anyways, yeah. So lots of old memories. But you know what one of my favorite con memories was?
I don't.
Yes.
There's so many.
Yeah, I know. One of my very favorites is like when WonderCon used to be in San Francisco and we would go and get shit hammered and then ride the carousel.
So we're going to have to find photos from these cons and post them because we would get on this carousel and then pretend we were acrobats.
I said stripper, but...
Oh. You were definitely stripper. I was acrobat. Like Britney back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we just thought we were amazing.
I was like riding the carousel, like, and then people had their kids like, why? And I'm like, this is an adult con.
They were like, it's noon. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, yeah.
So fun. Oh my
She's
gosh.
gonna see worse. She lives in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My poor husband's from San Francisco. He's like, hey,
Hey.
I grew up here.
But it's a wild town.
It
San
is.
Francisco's a wild town, which I
love
love.
it. So we were talking about having to have a lottery for the hotels. And these are some more pictures I'm going to have to post. Do you remember? They didn't have our room. Which was it, the Hilton?
Hilton Bayfront.
And it's a good hotel, and you could walk to the convention, and it was perfectly fine. But we went to check in, and they were like, your room's not ready, or like it's missing. Like
Yeah,
we don't have a room.
We don't have a room for you. And we're like, oh, great. But you have our reservation. Yes. We're going to figure this out. And then they gave us a freaking suite.
Home sweet sweet. It was so good.
Yeah, but like it's so hard because like I'm so autistic because I know like a behind the scenes story that's so funny about that.
I do too.
Oh my God. It's just like one of those moments where it was like really surreal. So I'm going to try to tell this as palatable as it can be. So this guy, I kept seeing him around the con taking photos. So we're passing on the bridge to go over to the con. Did you mute yourself? Okay, because it sounded wild. I was
I
like,
just
whoa.
wanted to listen
You're
to
like,
the story.
I'm out of here.
Goodbye. No, I got my coffee. I was like,
No.
story time.
Okay, so we're walking the bridge and he's looking at me. He goes, you are one hot piece of ass. And I go, oh, really? And he goes, yes. And then we just started making out. And we don't trade numbers. We just leave. So at the time, I was kind of talking to a celebrity
Oh, yes.
whose TV show was there. And I came out of the elevator and we ran into each other and he was like, Jenny. And I'm like, hi, what's up?
And then like a bunch of paparazzi came over because he's such a big deal.
And the guy who had just like had the interlude with me was one of the paparazzi. And he goes, what? And I go, yeah. And then I kept talking to my person that I won't reveal his name. But it was like such a weird moment because that was like his Comic-Con. Like he had a really big thing come out and he was starting this company and everybody was interested in him. So this guy is just like, wait, what is going on? So yeah, so that's the story that like every time I think of that room, I think about that and our photo shoot.
Yeah, and our photo shoot. Am I allowed to include that story? Or do we want that story to just be for us?
Look, okay, like it's like this. I am the kind of person that when I was drinking, if someone dared me to do something, I mean, I married someone on a dare. Like, you dare me to do something as an alcoholic, I'm doing it. So it was kind of that phase of my life where I had just been badly abused mentally. Like, I was not like in a good place. So then, like, right after all of that happened, I needed a confidence boost that year. So
Girl,
whoever
you got it. You got boosted.
whoever wanted to give me the boost, I was there for the boost that year. And that on record was my hottest year for me.
What year was that?
2011.
That was a good year.
It was a good year for me. Body wise, hair wise, like I was learning more how to do my makeup, but you know, like yeah. It's weird to say, and I know this is like very anti-feminist of me, but the thing that happens when you go through a really bad breakup is you're like, I am going to look the hottest humanly possible. Well, and you are going to feel so dumb.
Yeah, think about like Princess Diana's revenge dress.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Your instinct is to be like, you're lost.
Yeah. And like, when people see the photos we took in the hotel, they are some of my favorite photos we have ever taken. Oh, and I also remember from that year, we go down to the hot tub after everything's done, and you and I had our hair done at Mac. So
Yes.
we had like really beautiful, intricate makeup on. And I'm swimming around in the hot tub, and this guy who I know, who I love, Eric Blackman, he's a dear person, and I think he's just wonderful. But he looked at me and he goes, your makeup's so pretty, you're going to mess it up. And I just looked him in the face and then slammed my face into the water and
Yes.
went, ah, and then the makeup was just pouring. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do?
Jack Nicholson face.
And he was like, whoa, okay.
And then, of course, I'm just going to yes and everything you do. So I was like, my turn.
And then we're
we
just
both...
sitting there with like streaky makeup face. Tell me like, oh, you look too pretty. Don't mess it up. Oh no, I'm a monster. Don't dare me. I am a monster.
So aside from like that first year where I pretended to be Wolverine Tom, we always had passes. But we did one time, you and me and Leslie, Kitty Cat, Catwoman, break into E3.
Mm-hmm.
we
We
did not
did.
have passes. And
No.
I don't like, she's fucking confident. You're
She's
fucking
very confident.
confident. I'm there. And so we just, I don't, we just walked in. Like, did we have a credential? We couldn't have possibly had anything.
No, like we just walked in and people started taking pictures of us.
Yeah.
So people just assumed that we had to put our badges away for photos.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't walk 3 feet without
No.
a circle around us. Over here, over here, over here.
Yeah. It was, that was the first time for me that I remember we were standing there and like you said, there was like a wall of people and just like flash, flash, flash. And Leslie leaned over and goes, now you know how Jen Aniston feels.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, like that was
insane.
Right at E3. Like obviously like they get it on the red carpet on a much bigger scale, but that kind of like unbridled attention is like, it's, for me, it's an aphrodisiac. I bet, like, was it overwhelming for you? Or did you love it?
I mean, look, that was back when I was drinking. So,
but I don't think you were drinking that day.
But I always knew I'm going to get alcohol.
Oh, like,
so, like
my reward.
Yeah, like I had a reward system because, you know, like people think this is whatever, but like it was like 200 people.
It's a lot.
It was like 200 people. And there were like seas of them lining up behind each other. Like, I'm next, over here, over here. You know, and that's the way that it was back then for us at cons. It was like it was a sweet spot before cosplay had blown up so much.
Nobody was doing it. That's the thing. Like you would tell people, oh, I'm going to go to Comic-Con. And they're like, oh, why? First of all, like, what is it? A lot of times people wouldn't know. Big movies weren't there.
No.
There was no Hall H. People getting stabbed in the eyes with pencils.
I mean, we were there for the transition into Hall H. Because I do remember us like waiting for Hall H one year. And we're like, oh, this is the last year we're going to do this. Because it had always just been walk in.
Yes.
Walk in and it's fine. So the last year that it was weird like that was the one my sister was at, and we waited in line, and I told her, I said, it's normally not like this. This is wild. Was
that the year Twilight was there? And there were all these signs that were like, get your vampire out of my con. Like,
yeah. They're like, you have nothing to do with what we're doing here. And now it is like a what's coming next in entertainment kind of thing. But back then it was kind of switching over. There was like this fun thing of where will this end up? So like it's the after con, the week after con, when we go home and we're sitting at our, you know, at the time it was a desktop computer in our apartment. And it's like, okay, oh, there we are on Playboy. There we are on Maxim. There we are on Conan. You know, we were featured on Hollywood Reporter. You know, so like all these sites had featured us. And it's not like, oh, we're in the mix. We were the cover.
Yes. Like it was weird the amount of time that somebody would send probably not even a text back then, like an email or whatever, that was like, oh, you're on the homepage of whatever. I can't remember. And you'd be like, holy crap.
Yeah,
And then, of
it was
course, so
wild.
first of all, it was like, that's amazing. And then, second of all, it was like instant. I have to like scrutinize. Oh my God. Why does my face look like that? Well, my hair looks stupid.
Yeah, and for me, it was always just like, they picked that picture.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, well, there were 10,000 pictures taken, and
Yeah,
you were like, this is the
this
one.
is the one.
I'm
Yeah,
like, oh God, is that the best? Like, that was
yeah,
my shining moment in my head. I looked so good.
yeah. And
Surprise.
this was also back when IMDb had comments.
Yes. Oh, I used to hang out in those comment sections.
Ooh, that
They
I'm
were
so glad they got
horrible.
rid of them. It because like I was so overloaded with she should do porn. Like that was like all of my like 500 threads were talking about how I should just take it. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Okay,
Thanks.
well, at least you're talking about me,
Yeah,
I
right.
guess.
All press is good press. Take your
Right.
pants off.
Yeah, it was strange. But then also, like, we got to like meet and talk to Michael Turner, meet and talk to Peter Steigerwalder, who's now like a friend of
Yeah.
mine that I love. Like, I met Alex Ross,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
like we got to like meet the creators and like hang out with them back in the day. Like, because back then, Comic Con, you would go to the bar and they were all there hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
So we were always partying with like the people were there to see,
Yeah.
which was just cool.
I remember going that first Comic Con with you, and you could walk around the floor. Like, it was
Yeah.
not body to body. You could walk and talk to any artist, any writer that you wanted to. And I, of course, was Supergirl. And I went over and was talking to Joe Kelly, and they had just done like the crisis part of the, Michael
And
Turner.
like it was the Infinite Crisis.
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
it's like bad Supergirl and like regular good Supergirl.
Yeah.
And Joe Kelly and I talked, and he took all the time in the world, literally said, give me your email address and I'll send you some stuff, because he was just so excited that like I showed up and I was in her costume and I was excited, and I was just really starting to read the comics because I hadn't read. I read Archie comics when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I was a really big Archie comic person. I read
Yeah.
like the Ninja Turtle comics, but I didn't read superhero comics as a kid. And so I started doing it when you brought me kind of into that world. And I think he was just so excited to see my enthusiasm for it. And it's like, oh, she's like just getting into it. I'm going to make sure she's like getting the good stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because like the first time some of the Wonder Woman guys saw me dressed as Wonder Woman, they're like, we've never seen someone like look like Wonder Woman and be here in person. And you know, as they would drink a little more around me, they said, it's like because you're hot. Like hot girls don't usually like lean towards this area. And that's the truth for back then. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like not as mainstream. And now like every hot girl in the world is like a cosplayer now.
It's like, it's a whole industry
Mm-hmm.
for sure. I never spent very much money on my costumes.
Yeah, me either.
No. Well, maybe you didn't spend it, but it was worth a lot. Because wasn't it Andrea, somebody who did your like anime?
Yeah, she did, but like it was like layaway and I had to start it like 6 months in advance and I would pay
Yes.
her to do this piece and then I would pay her to do
Mm-hmm.
this piece. It was very like sectioned out, but that was like later. In
Oh,
the
yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
like we'd go into Hollywood Boulevard and I'd go to like the stripper shop and buy star panties and a red corset.
Yes.
Like that's what I could afford.
That's what I was going to say, is at first we knew like I think there were two stripper stores that were our favorite. And I can't,
Yeah.
do you remember their names? I don't remember.
I don't.
I'm hesitant to Google stripper stores in LA.
Yeah.
They wanted a woman's body to look as sexy and hot as possible because, you got to make money.
Tips.
And so it was the best place to, like, we definitely always got our shoes there. Like this, like you couldn't, I don't think Etsy was a thing, at least not like it is
No.
now. I don't even know
No.
if it was around then. Because now
Absolutely not.
sure, I could go on Etsy. I'm sure that there are a million ways that people can go and like outsource these things. But at the time, it was like you said, okay, I need hot pants that have stars.
Yep.
I need a corset.
Yeah.
You know,
Red go-go boots.
Yeah. A lasso,
Yep.
tiara. And you would piecemeal things from everywhere. Like
Yeah,
I
we would
would,
go to the fashion district. Down in the fashion district is where I got my
hmm
bracers.
hmm and I would take like a Halloween costume of Supergirl, but I didn't like the top, but I would take the S off and then put it on a corset or something that looked hotter
Yeah. Yeah.
so it would still make sense.
Yeah, it was a lot of like it was more arts and crafty back then. Like now people who are doing it do it very professionally, but we were leaning into cosplay. I am playing in costume. I'm playing. And I what I loved about us at these is when people interviewed us, they were surprised at our knowledge because we actually read and we actually collected. So like we were aware of the artists, we were aware of the storylines and where they
Mm-hmm.
intertwined and origin stories. Like so when they would try to get us, it's like no, like, that's a very easy question.
And I
That's very
also, I'm going to be this person, but I wonder how many times they challenge like a dude in a Superman costume or a Batman costume. Like, what about an issue, blah, blah, blah.
listen. Chris Dennis made sure that they would regret that.
He knew everything like it was his full time job because it kind of
It
was.
was. It
It
was.
was.
Yeah. And it's like, you want to ask me about my favorite issue? I know it by heart and I'm going to read it right now.
And I
And
reenacted everything.
I'm going to tell you about the panels and I'm going to do the poses. Like,
Yes. I was like,
do,
we have to go.
do you have 2 hours?
Sure don't.
No. So, but then
So fun.
the thing that I was going to say about that is because you and I both have like a comedy improv background, like they would love playing with us. So they would have us do like little skits and little like choreographed dance moves. Like they got to really, really play with us because we were insane people.
Well, and you're a really good recruiter. So, like the year that we had the suite, I feel like our friend Courtney was with us as Black Canary.
Hmm.
And so like you were able to like make sure everybody's hair and makeup and costumes and everyone was snatched and good, and you really were like the Wonder Woman like ringleader of like the hot girl parade.
Yeah, I was like, I know what's going to get us featured. Like there was a common thread of like what got us featured, and it's that high that we got after con of going and getting really great photos together.
And now I can't imagine. I mean, well, first of all, I can't imagine. Somebody asked me, like, do you think you would still cosplay as Supergirl? And I was like, girl is the operative word there. And I'm
Yeah.
41, which is fine. And I love it. But
Hmm.
I would feel weird being like, I'm 16. Remember the
Yeah.
joke I used to always say? Because Supergirl was Linda Lee Danvers and she was like in high school and like math. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
solve the equations.
Yes, I loved it. It was
Yeah.
so funny when you would do
The
that.
thing
I'm
that I
gonna do
never,
some math because I would have my lasso
I've
and I'd be
got
like,
this.
I would be like, I'm gonna make you tell the truth, you scum, and you're going, I'm gonna do a math problem.
A squared plus B squared over C squared. Like, okay. The thing that I never did that I wish that I had done was brought her cat. I wish that I
Yeah.
had brought my little kitty cat. Not
Yeah.
a real one. What a nightmare.
Yeah, a
But,
stuffed animal. Yeah, that would have been
but a
funny.
little one. That would have been cute.
Would have been cute.
Would you, no, you still, do you still cosplay as Wonder Woman?
It is so very rare. Like every now and then, Casper will have like a con that's like a bigger con, and he's looking through the window at me.
I'm
Hi,
waving like he can see me. Like,
hi.
hi.
It's like he knew I was speaking of him. He'll have like a con, and I'll go and I'll dress up as Wonder Woman for him, and I'll just sit at
Oh,
his booth. It's like remember when they used to hire booth babes when we used to get hired to do
yes.
booth babe stuff like that.
Yes.
Booth babe, can you imagine that term now?
Yeah. What would you
It would,
call them now?
I,
Booth person.
yeah, I don't know. But back in the old days, like 2006 to 2009, they would hire booth babes. And I would get hired and they'd pay like $200 to stand by the booth and bring traffic in, you know.
When I was in Orlando, I trying to make money. I would do things like that. I was right down the street from the convention center in Orlando, and I had to stand at a booth that sold propellers. I was like, this is very different from being Supergirl.
They're very different. You know,
Literally, people, yeah, would come over and be like, why should I use this propeller on my airplane? And I'm like, I
I don't
don't
know.
know. Watch me twirl like a propeller, and then I would just spin around until like my boss came over and was like, "Oh, I got this." Like, please stop doing
Yeah. And I remember because you don't watch horror movies, but we did like a
that.
horror comedy with our friend Jason LaCory called Lumber versus Jack. And he
Yes.
brought us to a horror convention in Orlando.
Spooky Empire.
Spooky
Spooky Empire.
Empire. And it was so fun.
Oh my God, we had a blast.
That was so fun to do there.
That was really fun. And that's when I first, speaking about looking good, started to lose weight.
Oh
I
my
went
gosh.
through
Yeah.
like a heavier period. And then that moment, I just gotten engaged. And then I got a little bit sick, which meant that I got a little bit skinny. And
Yeah.
so
Yes. I love mono.
it's like the best diet ever.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was fun.
I really, you always were small. You were never big. Like you were like, it was like you were way too skinny and then voluptuous, way too skinny and then voluptuous a lot. Because you would actually get really thin.
For a minute there, because I was just very, very stressed.
Yeah.
Towards right before I moved away from LA. Like I knew that it was time to be done. Well, I felt like there was so much going on in my life that I couldn't control, but I could control what I ate. And I could control that I ate almost nothing.
Yeah, it's so interesting now to look back on when we would do like those crash diets and stuff for things because like now I couldn't even begin to do that.
No way. Oh, I'm like, I should probably count calories again. Like I'm about to go to the beach with my family and like maybe just have a couple of pictures that look nice. And I'm instantly eating something. I'm like, well, that is gone.
Because at this age, I need protein.
Yes.
I need it. Like back then, it's like, honest to God, like I know it's horrible, but we've talked about this. It would be like a handful of almonds. I'd be like, you got to go. Or I'd reach in and grab a handful of spinach and eat spinach. Okay, now shut up, belly. I gave you something, you know? And that was like what I would do for like 2 weeks.
You were more rigorous than I was. Like I feel like I ate whatever I wanted pretty much, just in like a very small quantity. So it was like, I don't care. I'll go to Menchie's frozen yogurt and I'll eat like 2 bites.
Yeah.
Because that's like, well, I got to taste it.
Well, girl, that's the addict in me. Can't have a little. Because like you were saying, like before we started recording, like we went out to dinner and we all got a glass of wine and we cheers and mine was gone.
I turned around to like talk to Ken for a second and I look back and I went, oh my God, what happened? Did you spill it?
That's what happens with me and alcohol, with me and chocolate, with me and popcorn. Like it's not going to survive.
Popcorn's so good.
It is so good. And you know, like I'll have it like probably 3 or 4 times a year now.
That's not very many times. I have it 3 or 4 times today.
It's amazing. Like
so
I have different metabolism and genes than you though. Like my where my body wants to be is so ridiculous. And I remember I won't say her name because it was kind of mean, but I understood because we had that kind of friendship where we were honest about that stuff and it was fine. But she was with me for a month and saw everything that I ate and everything that I did, working out and everything. And she, at the end of the month, she was like, I don't want to be a bitch. And I mean this the best way possible, but I honestly always thought you were lying about what you ate. And now I've lived with you and I see like how it really is. And you should be a lot thinner than you are with the way that you are and how dedicated you are. And I said, it's a compliment to me. Like, I know, like, it doesn't always make sense, but everybody has a different body. And my body really, really wants to be Ursula.
I wasn't ready for that. I was not ready.
Yes.
The visual of you with a bunch of tentacles.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Yeah. Like my body wants to be that. So when people tell me like, what Disney character do you think you would play the best? I'm like, Ursula.
Ursula. Zero hesitation.
That's who I am inside. Like just a gross tentacle bitch eating snails. Like,
Do you know what I just found out? Snails are technically considered a shellfish. So if you have a shellfish allergy, you should not eat
yeah.
snails,
I'm
which is a
allergic to all
bummer because
fish.
I love snails. If you put anything in like garlic and butter, I'm gonna think it's delicious.
Yeah, I've never even like had seafood really. Like when I was a kid, we had like that chicken of the sea tuna.
Yes.
But that's really the only fish I ever.
Yeah, and that doesn't count. I mean, it does. It totally does.
Yeah,
But out of all the things that you could experience with fish, I love fish. That's
and
the only animal I eat.
I think I had that at like 8.
Yeah.
It was so long ago. Like I have no idea what that tasted like, and it was like comparing a steak to spam.
Right.
You know, like like you didn't really have fish, girl.
It's like you had a fish and you just took like a cheese grater
Yeah,
and put it in the can.
yeah, great. So it's been in this can for 7
It
months. There you
is
go.
wonderful. Fish is such a delicacy. Just
Well, I'm allergic to it. Like it's really interesting when I did my allergy panel
yes.
in my 30s and found out that most of the things that I've avoided, I am allergic to. So it's your body kind of just knows that without having to like,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. My daughter has allergies, food allergies, and it's a new world. She's almost 1, and we carry EpiPens and have like an action plan if God forbid something were to happen. And like her first birthday is next week, and my sister-in-law is making her cake, and I was like, "Can you make it without
Yeah.
tree nuts, peanuts, eggs, sesame, and sunflower oil?" One of those.
Yeah.
And then hopefully there's no new allergy that pops up. And I'm like, oh, and also
Oh,
this.
great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, birthdays are weird when you have a lot of allergies. I have a hemp cake for my birthday
Hey, better than nothing.
with coconut cream icing, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh my goodness. We need to end on like a remember when from a convention. There's
Ooh.
so many things. Oh, I'll tell you. So yes, we used to get a high from validate me, going online afterwards and seeing like, oh, first of all, like we're best friends. So anytime we
Yeah.
could get a quality photo of us together in our costumes that wasn't just like on the boulevard, sweaty
Yeah.
and being molested by strangers, was a win. The very first photo of us that I felt like it didn't even go viral because that wasn't a thing back then, but
Yeah.
it got the most traction. I can't remember what website it was on. It was something where you could comment and everybody was commenting on it. It was us standing in front of the convention. We were outside and smiling. I can't find it. If I can ever find it, I'll post it. And I used to have a belly button ring, and the comments were all like, ugh, how can she be Supergirl, the girl of steel, and have a piercing? Like, incorrect, dumb bitch. Like, how dare you? So I didn't go somewhere real to get my belly button pierced. It was my friend's bedroom from her boyfriend.
What? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yes.
It was like $10. I was like, oh, I really want a belly button ring, but I don't have any money. And she was like, my boyfriend will do it. I was like, great. I have $10. Great. Yeah, wonderful. Like, um, I told him, I was like, oh, your work is getting a lot of traction online. And he was so proud. He was like, the internet is talking about me. Yeah. He was
That's
so happy.
awesome.
Do you have a remember one from a convention that you're like, oh yeah, classic?
My favorite story about you is when we went to the DC panel and they saw us in the audience and they're like, well, somebody said, what's going on with Supergirl right now? And they said, well, she's right here. Let's ask her. And they bring you up on stage and it's the DC Comics panel. It is packed in this house and there's a lot of press there. And you go up to the podium and I can't remember exactly what you said, but you said something like, you know, that I'm behind on reading.
I'll tell you what happened. So I was not behind on reading. I had read.
Oh,
She
you hated it.
was with a boy who had cancer and like he died. I was like, what in the what? Like, okay, this isn't my favorite arc ever. And like you're reading the comic and it's like the parents are like distraught that their little boy is dead. And she's like, sorry about it. Like, and so I didn't want to say, oh, well, what just happened is she murdered somebody. Like, not murdered anybody. But so I made sure I was like, Bob Wayne is next to me. Like, look at all these like powerhouses. I love Supergirl. And I did say, so I'm going back and rereading everything. I'm not caught up on the current story. Lie, I was caught up. And I started getting booed. And this is where our improv training worked out. Because I went, I know, I'm very sorry, but I've been writing my own Supergirl story and it's pretty sexy and I'm going to act it out for you right now. And then everyone went, boo, yeah, and like started clapping. And the MC was like, give it up. And then I walked away. And one of the guys who was working a camera, he goes, that was really good.
Yeah.
I was like, thank God,
Yeah.
because I almost got murdered, like crucified.
Yeah. They hated me for a moment.
They hated me for a moment, and I had this much time to pull it together. And then that was a picture of me up there laughing that was on the cover, like the front of a web page for, I can't remember which website. I'll have to look at that. But that moment of me, like a blind panic.
Like Yahoo News. Like it was like,
yeah, it was something big.
Yeah, it was great. Because back then Yahoo was a big website.
It was big.
And we would be on AOL, we'd be on Yahoo. It was really fun. But yeah, so I loved watching you like make the whole room for DC laugh. I'm actually writing a story in my head that's really hot.
And I'm going to act it out for you right now. And then, of course, I wasn't. I ran off that stage very quickly.
Bye. Bye forever.
Yeah. But thank God. Yeah. Thank God it worked out. And I didn't have to tell people that their story made me really sad.
Yeah. And I also used to love going to the sing-alongs with our group. Like the Buffy sing-along.
I loved Buffy
Dr.
sing-along.
Horrible sing-along.
Yes,
like we would go to a lot of sing-alongs and get really drunk.
And just shout.
And just scream at the top of our lungs. But everybody was doing it back then, so it was fun.
So fun. And again, like when we got to meet Michael Turner, like that was
amazing.
I think that was the pictures that we got with him that I'm thinking of. It was his last.
It was his last con, yeah.
Yeah. And then like the following year, I think we got invited to
the memorial. Yeah, we were front row.
Yeah, and one of our pictures was in like the carousel, the slideshow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was just such an honor. And he was so cool.
Oh my God. Like I just got goosebumps all over my body because he was such a special soul.
He really was. And I think he inspired a lot of the art today.
Oh, 100%.
I can see his style in a lot of people's stuff.
Mm-hmm. The way he could draw women was like top tier.
It was like he really liked them, you know? Like so and there was like a sensuality to them. They were like strong and sensual. It was like they were hot.
Yeah, hot.
It's hot.
If you like women, then look up his stuff.
Yeah, and I remember him like joking with us and telling us like he remembered his first sketch and it was a loaf of bread. I can't remember if he said they wanted him to draw buildings and he drew the building and it just looked like a loaf of bread.
I remember this.
Yeah. And I just was like, what a funny guy. Like that. And his wife was always with him and he was so supportive of her and so excited to have her with him. You know, just a really good person.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So lots of good con memories for sure.
Lots of them. I do remember also there was one time that the Disney artist stopped me and was like, really, he had a real boner for me.
Which one? Was this an older gentleman?
Yeah. And I loved it. I was like, what? Me? Disney? He goes, yes. I'm like, that feels weird.
So, funny story about you and me with this guy. You were gone. I don't know if this was the same convention or a different convention, but he knew that we were linked. And I was walking the floor with Chris and went over to his booth and we were like, oh, you know, how's it going? Good to see you again. You know, Jenny. And he was like, oh my God, that face. And he just like went on for like 5-10 minutes about like how from like an artistic standpoint, perfect your faces and your features and like your expression, like everything about you was like wonderful. And he's like, and you get to be her friend. Like, bye.
Oh my God.
Yes, Chris. Yes, he will back me up on Instagram. I was like, I know she's hot. Like, I know she's beautiful. Everybody asks me all the time about like if it hurts when her face is so pretty and I have to look directly at it. Yes, it
Do
does.
you know it's just such a weird thing because I have never like I've always felt like I pulled the wool over people's eyes in that way. Like it just because I've always felt like from being like the closest person on planet Earth to me. Like you were the closest person on planet Earth to me for so long.
Yeah.
Like I always feel like people can tell I'm from a trailer. I can always like feel, oh my God, they know I'm poor. Oh my
Oh my
God.
gosh.
Like it's like in my mind growing up really poor, it kind of makes you feel less than in every
Yes.
way. It just does. Like you feel like you're coming in and you're in like a deficit already and you got to work to match.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't help that celebrities wanted to date me, but in private.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
a lot of celebrities' private girl. Like
Your
they
dirty little secret.
yeah, and then I would meet a new one and they'd be like, "Oh my God, I would celebrate that you're mine." And then I would become the secret. It's like they all would start like, "I can't believe he treated you that way. I'm going to treat you so good." Same.
Why do you
Same.
think that is or was?
I mean, for me, my self-esteem was always it's because I'm poor. I
Oh.
saw one of them when I was in LA this last time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And I was having lunch with Nadia, our old time bud, and we were sitting there and I saw him and I turned. Oh, no, it was Gina. I was with Gina. And she goes, he just walked by. And I go, really? And I looked and we looked at each other and I went, okay. And he said, Jenny, we stood up, we hugged. I just hugged him. I was like, should I hug him? I don't know if I should hug him. I'm hugging him. And then he said, it's so weird. I was just thinking about you 3 days ago. I swear to God. He said, I know I shouldn't say that, but I was. And then when he left, I said, yeah, he shouldn't say that because what was he thinking about?
Right.
Our relationship was very private. I mean, like I was always a nice person to him, of course, but like we used to hook up. He's like, yeah, I'm married and I have 2 kids now. Isn't that weird? I'm like, yeah, I'm married too. Like, it's weird. We're adults now. So weird. But like it is like this kind of it will always be something that puzzles me. And my husband always is like, who would meet you and not just be in love with you? And I'm like, everybody.
But Casper, he celebrates you like in a way that definitely nobody else did.
No. Like I remember with like he took me to the Emmys the year he was nominated and he ended up winning. And like the conversation before was he needed to pick out my dress.
Mm.
He needed to see how I did my hair and makeup. And I needed to be quiet all night. And I just was like, I don't know. Like it was just really hard for me to believe when I started dating Casper and he was like, I want to marry you. Like I'm obsessed with you. I think you're amazing. And I'm like, really? Me? Like I have felt really bad about my personality and the package for a long time. So for him to like make me feel good about it. And I do remember like we had a mutual friend who kind of behind my back told him some of my old stories. And it's like I tell him my stories. Like
Mm-hmm.
he knows that I was wild and that I was an alcoholic and that I was really kind of off the rails sometimes. I tell him all the time like Michelle kept me alive.
I did.
Yeah, so
It's not an exaggeration.
no, like you literally like kept me alive when I was in a blackout and I was just going to climb in a
Yeah.
car and I was just
Yes.
like whatever. But like she told him like about some of that stuff and he said that made her who she is. So why would I be upset about any of that? I'm lucky to have that kind of spirit in my house every day, like someone who's so spirited and joy to be. And so it's nice
So
to be with
sweet.
somebody who like appreciates that part of me.
No, you guys are so great together.
Thanks.
That is it for today. It
Ooh,
was fun.
that was fun.
Okay, I love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.